And what I want to do with the next segment of time is to go into the idea of blame. I have mentioned before that there's a quality of the lectures as in life itself. The lectures are simply a reflection of life. They're nothing special in the sense that they don't... Let me start that one over. The biggest compliment someone can give the lectures is to say, I knew that. Okay? What the lectures seem to be able to do for a great number of people is they codify, they name, they phrase things that have been difficult for us to enunciate or name. Okay? The reality was out there. We knew the feeling. We knew we had a sense that something wasn't right. And then we read in various kinds of literature, whether it is Buddhism or a religion of any kind, or philosophy, or art, or literature, or in the lectures, we read a phrase and say, wow, that's it. That's what I was feeling. And I like to think of the lectures as being valuable if this is your style. So if you like to think in these terms and the way the Pathwork lectures express things sings to you, and you like the way it expresses things, and you can use these and go out, then this is a useful spiritual practice for you. It is not the only spiritual practice. And if you go on the internet, and I'm sure that you guys have all seen this famously, no matter what topic or phrase, no matter how narrowly you try to phrase a topic or phrase, you get 10 million results nowadays. There are many, many different ways of looking at things. There are many different ways of phrasing relationship issues. So the guide has specific concepts that we codify that I try to teach from, and one of them is the idea of unity and duality, of unitive thinking versus dualistic thinking. In unitive thinking, the key word is and. So you have a point of view, and I have a point of view. You have needs, and I have needs. In dualistic thinking, we see things in terms of or. You get some time, or I get some time. You're right, or I'm right. And one of the paradigm shifts that the lectures has given me over the years is the ability to practice, and I'm not perfect at it, I do it every single day, the ability to practice seeing the unitive perspective. Now that does not mean that I do not act when I see things. Sometimes things are simply wrong or out of balance or need to be corrected. It's not that we have to accept everything that comes along. The spiritual practice is to see underlying causes, to see the unitive part even in disagreements. So when the guide talks about blame in the last part of this lecture, okay, he says, no matter what wrong the other person does, if you are disturbed, there must be something in you that you overlook. No matter what wrong the other person does, if you are disturbed, there must be something in you that you overlook. And what I'm attempting to bring here is this. It is not that it's all your fault or all their fault, but in a unitive sense, if someone does something, even if it's wrong, and you are disturbed, rather than simply saying, that's incorrect, that's wrong, that is inappropriate, and taking steps to try to redress it. If you are disturbed, by disturbed the guide is talking about, he says, when I say disturbed, I mean this in a particular sense. I do not speak of clear-cut anger that expresses itself guiltlessly and which does not leave a trace of inner confusion and pain. Let me read this again. When I say disturbed, I mean this in a particular sense. I do not speak of clear-cut anger that expresses itself guiltlessly and which does not leave a trace of inner confusion and pain. I mean the kind of disturbance that comes out of and breeds further conflict. So if something happens in a relationship with another person that leaves you disturbed, the invitation from the unitive is for you to look inside. Not that the other person isn't wrong, they may well be wrong, but they have resonated against something in you that isn't clean. So the guide is inviting that there may be an excuse or a reason for clear-cut anger, saying, stop that, don't do that, I do not accept that, or I'm leaving the room. But if you leave the room and you go into agony, you start to cry and you become distressed and upset, then you're not done. That person's action has triggered something in you. And our job, and I say our because the people that I am speaking to are the people who are attempting to learn this work, not the people who are saying it doesn't matter or I have better things to do. So people who are listening to this teleconference are the people who are asking the question, why? Why am I disturbed? Why do I feel pain? Why can't I clear this up? And the guide's invitation is that if we take self-responsibility for there being something off in us, and we do the work of self-analysis without blaming the other person. They may be wrong in their action, but their action is not responsible for our confusion, our pain, or our distress. We are responsible for that. And that by finding the place in us, whatever that is about, and clearing it up, then we are even more able to go back to the other and say, I need a solution to this. I cannot deal with this. This disturbs me. I just jumped into a pothole right there. Disturbs me. This is something that I need to clear up. And perhaps you can say it does disturb me, and I'm working on that, and I still need some change of action or change of intent, or something needs to change here so that I do not become disturbed, so that I can work on my own self and find out what's going on with me. And the trigger is very intense here, and I would like to address it. That's different from saying, you made me angry. You made me cry. You don't care about me. Well, that may be true. They may not care about you. And the question from a self-responsible place that we need to ask is, what are we doing in relationship with someone who doesn't care about us? Once you answer that question and come to peace with it, I'm in relationship with this person because they have 15,000 sterling qualities, but they don't care about me as much as I want to be cared about. That one they don't give me. They give me a lot of others. Once you clarify that for yourself, and you understand why you're in relationship with someone who has a blind spot in a particular area, then you may be more able to deal with that blind spot, to deal with the fact that you are vulnerable in a place of wanting to be cared about in a particular way, and your beloved does not give that to you. Therefore, you need to get it from other sources, primarily internally, and to communicate to your beloved that that's a sore spot. I call those bruises. There are places where we are emotionally bruised. And I think it's fair game when you're in relationship with someone to tell someone, that's an area of emotional bruising for me. That hurts. I'm not able to handle that very well. So if you go there, you need to go there carefully. I'm not saying that we can't talk about it, but I need a little bit of containment. I don't want it to be casual, on the fly, a conversation in the car. I need for it to be a sit-down discussion. I need to be calm and relaxed and open to the discussion, or I will go into defense because I'm bruised there. That's the kind of self-responsibility the lecture's talking about. Rather than say, you're insensitive, you don't listen, you don't understand me, all of which may be true, we are still responsible for how we have engaged with that person, for what we have not communicated to that person. And on a longer term basis, which is very painful for some people to admit, sometimes we have ignored something and allowed it to become part of the fabric of a relationship, and then we become sensitized to it. And part of growing up spiritually is to take responsibility for the fact that we let that happen. Now, I'm going to use a silly example because silly works.